no details around where we will borrow that money. We can't go to the international debt markets. Obviously, there's quite a few hurdles to get over before we can even qualify for any sort of funding from the IMF, which in some respects makes the decision to hold off on paying interest on our commercial debt, i.e. the Eurobonds, make sense, because in the absence of any of these pieces moving, you have to create certainty in terms of where some of that funding will come from. And even when you do that, you're only saving what, at most, $250 to $300 million in interest expense, and we're talking of a $6 billion budget equivalent here at today's exchange rate. So there's a lot of uncertainty around whether or not those numbers can come in, and if we're able to tap the global debt markets as far as the external borrowing is concerned. The other concern I have is with the domestic borrowing. Whenever a government is very active in the local debt market, especially in an emerging market like Zambia, you tend to crowd out the capacity or the ability or the availability of credit to the private sector. If you're a bank in this environment, if the government comes in to borrow by offering you treasury bills or bonds at the kind of interest rates that they're offering or the discount rates, that is more attractive to you than having to take risks on individual businesses, which in this environment can be tricky. So what tends to happen is that they will elect to do that kind of borrowing over the normal borrowing they would do into the local private sector, which is not going to help, at least in the period where the government is borrowing extensively. So those are sort of the preliminary concerns I have based on this.